Okay, now I will be presenting my PhD Viva talk, and the title of my presentation is Survey and Assessment of Non-Timber Forest Products of Behali Reserve Forest in the Biswanath district of Assam, India, which was done under the supervision of Professor Sumpam Tanja. Introducing you to the background, the forest cover in the whole world is declining very fast, and along with it are affected the biodiversity and the indigenous people. No forest in the world can be protected without the participation of these indigenous peoples. So to help them protect these, study of non-timber forest products and its relation to these people is of utmost need. Non-timber forest products or NTFPs are biological materials other than timber which are extracted from the forest for human use, with exclusion made for sand, stones, water and ecotourism. So far, no studies have been dealt with NTFPs of the Brahmaputra Valley of Assam, hence this study is designed to do so. The objectives of my study were to assess the NTFPs used by the forest dwellers present in the fringes of Behali Reserve Forest, to evaluate the distribution pattern of these NTFPs present within the forest, to prioritize the most important NTFPs based on the preference of the respondents, and to study the market chain involved with them. A work plan was designed to achieve the stated goals. First, a survey of the forest through satellite imagery was done. Then a pilot survey for selecting the traditional knowledge-rich areas was conducted, and the ethnobotanical investigation was carried in these villages. Simultaneously, the forest was divided into grids of 20 meters square, and the study stands were selected based on the access road to the forest, and the phytosociological investigation was carried out. After an interval of 2 months, throughout the study period, the plants collected were then identified following literatures, herbaria visits, etc. And this also helped out working the native flora of the forest as well as critically assessing the interesting elements. At last, after both the first and second objectives were over, the data generated helped to start the third objective, that is prioritization of the potential NTFPs through group discussion and interviews. Now, the outline of the presentation would be, first, I will discuss the study area, then Chapter 1, Assessment of the NTFPs, Chapter 2, Plant Community Structure, Chapter 3, Prioritization of the NTFPs, Chapter 4, Enumeration of the native angiosperms, then general discussion, and then I will outline the outcome of the study. Figure 1 shows the map of Behali Reserve Forest. Behali Reserve Forest is the last patch of semi-evergreen forest in the Biswanath district of Assam. With a total geographical area of 140 square kilometers, the area is bounded by several rivers and human habitations. Figure 2 shows the aerial view of the dense forest of Rangagora, that is inside Behali Reserve Forest. And then Figure 3 shows the aerial view of the annual streams of Cerealia, that is inside Behali Reserve Forest. Chapter 1, Assessment of NTFPs. 4 villages, namely Bihumari Bongaon, Cerealia Bongaon, Sialmari Bongaon, and Rampur, were selected. Semi-structured questionnaires were used to generate data covering 50% of the total household in the villages. The respondents either belong to the Karbi or the Munda communities. 3 quantitative indices have been used to analyze the findings: use value, informant consensus factor, and fidelity level. A total of 100 plants falling under 87 genera and 56 families were found. Articaceae was the dominant family. The people of Cerealia Bongaon uses the highest number of plants, that is 76 taxa. Interestingly, in the study, 91 taxa were native, while 8 were exotic and 1 was doubtful. Figure 4 shows the habit categories of the NTFP species, and the trees recorded the highest percentage, that is 35%, followed by shrubs, climbers, and herbs. Figure 5 shows the use categories of these NTFPs, and 51 among them are edible, followed by 23 medicine, and rest are below 20. The use value is calculated to ascertain the relative importance of the plants. Xanthosxylum oxyphilum, Hoxonia macrocarpa, Aristolochia cathcarti, and Aristolochia samica reported the highest use values, signifying that these plants are the most important and frequently used by the communities. The ICF, or informant consensus factor, is used to find the homogeneity in the ethnomedicinal information. Among the 19 ailments recorded, 8 having values of 1 are discarded, to avoid misinterpretation. Then dental infections, stomach pain, cartoons, malaria, dysentery had the next high ICF values, and are the most common ailments in the fringes of Behali Reserve Forest. Figure 6 shows the similar inferences, and you can see stomach pain, malaria, high blood pressure, dysentery, dental infection, cartoons, so the highest number of used reports. Table 1 shows the fidelity level, that is the percentage of frequently cited plant taxa for treating different ailment categories. And Cladodendron culibrucinum shows the highest fidelity level, that is 97% for treating the high blood pressure. Similarly, Chromolena odorata for cartoons, Aristolochia samica for stomach pain, Cotton cordatus for dental infections, Solana maria canthum for antidote against leech bite, Aristolochia cathcarti against malaria, and Aristolochia samica for dysentery. Figure 7 shows the different mode of preparation of a traditional medicine. The highest percentage is of paste, followed by cooked, then directly consumed, etc. Figure 8 shows the mode of application of the traditional medicine, and both the oral and topical shows almost equal percentage of use. From the study, we found that Natum nemon, Lepionurus sylvestris, Dylenia indica, Diplegia masculentum are the most preferred edibles. 14 ethnomedicinal plants are new records for the community. Paste was the most preferred mode of ethnomedicinal use, as the process of crushing and grinding increases the availability and the activity of bioactive compounds. There are several interesting uses of plants recorded, such as the plants Nunehiru, that is Persicary hydropiper, and the bark of Jajur, that is Xanthozylum oxyphilum, are smashed and spread in the blocked rivulets, which kills or stupefies the fishes. These environmental friendly techniques are now seen to be lost now. When deep inside the forest, the people are quenched with thirst, then sharp cuts are made in the stem of climbers such as Samphat, Tetracerus sarmentosa, Arlongserim, Poikilospermum suaviolens. The water dripping out is drunk and believed to be pure. The Karbis of BRF, though initially migrated from the mainland stock of Karbi Anglong, still maintains the original fragrance of their rites. Rongker, Chujun, Arnampharo, Duikrai, and Chomongkan are some of them. The plants of Fagaceae, Poaceae, Gingiberaceae, and Piperaceae are used, which is similar to the other communities of Northeast India. The similar knowledge is due to similar geographic area. The data on the assessment of non-timber forest products in Behali Reserve Forest was then published in the journal Ethnobotany Research and Applications, published by the Ilia State University, Georgia. Again, the data on the plants used for preparation of the traditional wine by the Karbi community of BRF, along with 3 other communities of Northeast India, was published in the journal Biodiversitas, published by Sables Merit University, Indonesia. Coming to the second chapter, that is plant community structure. Sampling plots are laid throughout the forest. 35 20-meter square quadrats are laid for trees, 75-meter square quadrats for shrubs, and 140 1-meter square quadrats for herbs within the tree plots. The specimens were then tagged, measured, counted, and collected, which was then processed further. 1.4 hectare area was sampled randomly. 788 woody individuals were measured and collected, belonging to 128 species and 83 genera and 43 families. Lauraceae among the family and Lycia among the genera were the most dominant. Among the 9 study stands, Cerealia recorded the highest species diversity, that is 47, and Radhasu the lowest. The species richness varied from 3 to 36, where the 22 species is the average number. The densities also varied widely, 1 individual for 55 species and 135 individual for a single species, that is Magnolia hoxoni. Table 2 shows the categories of division based on the number of individuals encountered. And the dominant category includes species with more than 100 individuals, common 25 to 99 individuals, rare 3 to 24 individuals, and very rare less than 3 individuals. Only 1 species was termed dominant, that is Magnolia hoxoni. 5 were common, 47 were rare, and 75 were very rare. The stand diversity was higher in Cerealia and lowest in Radhasu. The highest IVI was recorded for Magnolia hoxoni. Similarly, dominance was also higher for Magnolia hoxoni. Figure 9 shows the GERD class contribution. The GERD class more than 150 centimeter dBH showed the highest basal area, and the GERD class 30 to 60 centimeter dBH showed the highest number of individuals. 46 species of shrubs are recorded, falling under 40 genera and 25 families. Rubiaceae was the most dominant family. The IVI was highest for Pycnal henna planiflora. 2 are dominant, 3 are common, 25 are rare, and 16 are very rare. 77 species of herbs are found. Acanthaceae was the most dominant family. The IVI value was highest for Piper sylvaticum. 4 species are dominant, 12 are common, 36 are rare, and 20 are very rare. The tree species richness is much higher than Doboka Reserve Forest of Assam, Sipai Jila Wildlife Sanctuary of Tripura, and Anjao district of Arunachal Pradesh. The dominant families corroborates the subtropical humid forest of Meghalaya and then tropical wet evergreen forest of Namdapha National Park. The GERD class frequency exhibited reverse J-shaped curve. It was similar to those reported from other areas of Northeast India. The tree-layered canopy system is also similar to Jayantia Hill district of Meghalaya. 32 woody species found in the study sands were used as NTFPs by the studied communities. Subspecies richness is higher than Namdapha National Park, Holonga Park, Gibbon Wildlife Sanctuary, Amchang Wildlife Sanctuary, Doboka Reserve Forest, etc. The dominant shrubs encountered in the study are not consistent with any other studies of the area. This is because of the unique habitat containing some ecosystem properties and processes that makes BRF unique. 13 subspecies are found in the study sands which were used as NTFP by the studied communities. Herb species is richer than Perumodia Sacred Groves Kerala, Hojai and Komorkata Reserve Forest of Assam, and Antai Bao in Sangchi Province, China. The data obtained for dominant plants are also consistent in other studies. Piper sylvaticum with home gardens of Jorhat and Golaghat, Emiscotola Bhukeri with Abhoypur Reserve Forest of Assam, Ageratum conjurius with Namdapha National Park of Arunachal Pradesh, Rapidophora glauca with Dihang Dibang Biosphere Reserve of Arunachal Pradesh. 20 herbaceous species found in the study stands are used as NTFPs by the studied communities. The data on the assessment of woody species diversity and composition was then published in the journal Ecological Questions, which is published by Nicolaus Copernicus University, Poland. Then the data on the herbaceous component of Behali Reserve Forest was then published in the journal Indian Journal of Ecology, published by the Indian Ecological Society, India. Chapter 3, that is prioritization of the NTFPs. Group discussion and personal interactions, including 67 informants were done. Were done from 4 villages. The data was gathered keeping in mind that only some species can be prioritized for detailed study, which fulfills at least 3 of the following criteria denoted by Sundrial and Sundrial 2003. First one is multi-purpose utility. Second, the occurrence in natural habitats. Then preferred species of the local people, market value, scanty information available on the market potential, and finally the extent of anthropogenic pressure on the species. A total of 2 species have been found to satisfy more than one criteria. Species 1 follows, and that is Netum nemon, follows all the criteria, and species 2, that is Mesoafaria, follows all the criteria except A. Netum nemon is a widely consumed edible. The leaves are cooked with pulses, inflorescences are fried, ripe fruits are eaten raw as well as roasted. It is a highly preferred plant to be cultivated in the homestead gardens. Table 4 shows the market value of Netum nemon. In the year 2018, the price of the price of cones per kg was 350 rupees, which then increased to 400 rupees in the year 2021. The vendors involved is also increased to 3 to 5 in 2021. However, the price of the bundles of leaves remained the same. Figure 10 shows the different photographs of Netum nemon. A shows the inflorescence, B shows the infructance, C shows the collection of leaves and inflorescence from the forest, and D shows the tribal women selling leaves in Tinikuti market. The prevalence of this species, however, has drastically decreased in the study area. This is because of the unsustainable collection during the rainy season, which leads to poor fruit setting and affecting the dispersal and germination. Around 10 to 20 kgs of inflorescences are collected daily from the forest. The second species that have been prioritized is Mesoafaria. It treats a myriad of disorders. The flowers and stamens are used to prepare incense sticks. The flowers are collected from the reserve and sold to the traders in the month of April to June. The price is fixed by the traders each year and may fluctuate. This is only done in Serilia Bongaon part of the reserve. Figure 11 shows the different photographs of mesosphaeria. A shows the flowers borne on a high tree. B and C shows the collection of flowers from the forest floor. D shows the sun drying process. E shows the dried flowers, and F shows the quantification of the dried flowers and sale to traders. Figure 12 shows the flow chart of the people involved in the mesosphaeria trade. First are the pickers who pick flowers from the forest floor. These are then sold to the collectors who collect the raw flowers from the pickers and sun-dry them. Then the traders collect the dry flowers from the collectors in huge bulk and trade to the higher channel. The network of information for further is obscure as confidentiality is maintained thereafter. Table 5 shows the number of persons involved in the mesosphaeria marketing in the 3-year study in BRF. In the year 2018, the pickers were 15, which increased to 18 in 2021. Again, the collectors increased in 2019, but then again decreased in 2021. The number of tradesmen increased from 1 to 2 in 2021. Only the pickers and collectors are the people from the forest villages, where the traders are from nearest cities. Table 6 shows the average collection amount and income of pickers of mesosphaeria. The pickers' average collection per day is 25 kg and 10 rupees is given for per kg. Therefore, the pickers' average income per day is 250 rupees. The pickers' average income throughout the season is 15,000 rupees. The total money spent on the average number of pickers throughout the season is 2,40,000 rupees. Table 7 shows the average collection amount and income of the collectors of mesosphaeria. The collector's fresh flower collection per day is 5 quintal, which then gets into 100 quintal in the interval of 20 days. The collector's dry flower stock is 3,300 kg approx because 3 kg of fresh flowers gives 1 kg of dried material. Total season stock of the collectors is 9,900 kg. The collector's income per kg of dried flowers from the traders is 35 rupees and total collector's income is 3,46,500 rupees. The collector's profit after providing money to the pickers is 6,500 rupees. It should be noted that the number of collectors provided is 2 to 4. However, it is not a job of a single individual. Hence, the profits get divided into the family among the family members, leaving the single collector's share to 20 to 30,000 rupees per year. That is in one season. These two proposed species have been prioritized, keeping in mind the selected criteria mentioned above for cultivation and rehabilitation of the degraded areas in the buffer zones. Both these species fit well, but no data on their marketing channel is present, except one newspaper article reporting unregulated trade of mesosphaeria. Hence, this study provides a base value of these non-timber resources. Chapter 4 is enumeration of the native angiosperms. Extensive collection was done. The plants were then photographed, collected, and tagged, giving a specific collection number. The collection of the collected samples were then processed using following Jane and Rao 1977. A total of 308 native flowering plants were found. The species number represents around 10% of the Assam's flora. The families with highest species number were Orchidaceae with 37 species, followed by Lauraceae, Moraceae, Phyllantheraceae, Rubiaceae, and Lamiaceae. The richest genera were Ficus and Lycia with 14 and 8 species respectively. These are some of the IUCN red listed species found in the study. Critically endangered was Chlorophytum assamicum, endangered Aristolochia assamica, vulnerable Elaeocarpus rugosus, near threatened Aglaia dulis, data deficient Magnolia kingi and Magnolia graffiti, and others are least concerned or are not evaluated. So these two plants are newly recorded for Assam. Figure 13 shows Galeola nudifolia. Only single individual of this plant was encountered at BRF. Figure 14 shows Pandanus unguifer, which is common throughout the forest, but was recorded as new for Assam. The most interesting highlights of the study were the description of 3 new taxa for signs from BRF. The first one is Chlorophytum assamicum of the family Asparagaceae, which was described as new species in the year 2019. The species was not used by the locals, hence they do not have any local name. Around 11 individuals grow in the 10 meter square area. In 2021, we have assessed it as critically endangered following IUCN norms. The study was then published in the journal Phytotaxa, published by Magnolia Press, New Zealand. The second species that was described from Behali reserve forest is Aristolochia assamica of the family Aristolochiaceae. The locals use its roots to treat several different ailments, locally known as RUATP. In the year 2081, in the year 2021, we have assessed it as critically endangered, and is later found in Karbi Anglong and Jorhat district of Assam up to East Siang of Arunachal Pradesh. The data was published in the journal Annals Botanici Fennici, published by the Finnish Geological and Botanical Publishing Board, Finland. Figure 15 shows other Aristolochia species found in Behali Reserve Forest. A is Aristolochia catcarti of the general, section Syphicia, and then Aristolochia acuminata of the section Podanthemum. Two species have been assessed for IUCN Red List. The first one is Chlorophytum assamicum. It is assessed as critically endangered following the criterion B and D. And the second is Aristolochia assamica, which was assessed as endangered following the criterion B. The third taxa described from Behali RF is Paleocenthus macrophylla variety assamensis. It was described as a new variety in 2020. The population is good and dispersed throughout the forest. The plant has no particular use but can be used as a potential ornamental as of its showy flowers. The data was published in the journal Bloomia, published by Naturalist by Biodiversity Center, Netherlands. The total checklist of the native vascular flora of Behali Reserve Forest was then published in the journal Contributi Botanici, published by the Alexandru Borja Botanical Garden, Romania. Another interesting plant that was found in Behali Reserve Forest is Citrus indica, the wild Indian orange, which was restricted to the Garo Hills of Meghalaya. This plant was rediscovered after centuries from Assam, and the population structure was also studied. It was published in the journal Plion, which is published by East Himalayan Society for Spermatophyte Taxonomy. The summative account of all these details are then published as a book chapter in the book Role and Functioning of Landscape Parks in the Biosphere Reserve, Poland. Orchids are the most treasured jewels in the branch of horticulture. Among the 401 orchid species found in Assam, Behali Reserve Forest represents a total of 39 species of orchids. Figure 16 shows some of them, and then figure 17 also. Some rare and one with a single plant, that is Galeola nudifolia, which is recorded as new for some. Some common plants of the forest: the multi-flowered kappa, the three-petaled balsam, the bat flower, and many more. Then the butterfly ginger, the largest bean, Entada, the squirrel's favorite Munun's simiarum, the denticulate psychotria, screw-pine, spiny bushes, etc. Some flowers are very rare and photographed for the first time in the world, such as Myquelia assamica, then Eleocarpus rugosus, Aenia grandiflora, then the Syzygium balsamium, Nyctocalus cuspidatus, Ophiopogon micranthus, Picrasma tolipenthus, then Wallichia nana, Stropenthus wallichi. These are some of the very common plants of the forest. The highest number of species was registered in pristine forest, and then are followed by the secondary forest and rehabilitated forest. Flora of Behali Reserve Forest demonstrate a high habitat diversity with predominance of the woody plants. The species number obtained here is much higher than Barail Wildlife Sanctuary of Kachar District, Krishna Wildlife Sanctuary of Tripura, Holongapar Gibbon Wildlife Sanctuary of Assam, then East Karbi Anglong Wildlife Sanctuary of Assam. Though the forests have been experiencing tremendous pressure for the last few decades, though still some dense patches of forest have been left in the core regions. Due to the change in geography and vegetation, the plants related to the ethnic identity are changed in course of adapting to the local vegetation. This is evident by the slight change of the names for the same species, as well as change in the species for the same name. Apart from that, NTFP plays an important role in maintaining the healthcare among these communities, since the majority of the disorders they rely on the traditional forms of medicine. 63 species among 100 NTFPs are found in the sample sites, and Mezuaf area was the most commonly found NTFP. Both the prioritized species fetch high income compared to the other NTFPs known from Assam and can be used to improve the livelihood of the marginal people. Considering their utilization as an alternative to reduce the pressure on timber and harmonize a sustainable forest use, it needs further study. The forest of Behali is exceptionally rich with astonishing biodiversity, and the native plants listed here is much higher than studies conducted in other districts of Assam. So I have highlighted some outcomes of the study. The first is compilation of the working list of the native plants of the forest. This will aid the subsequent workers as a first-hand data for species identification and restoration of the degraded areas. Second is submission of these species portraits in global databases such as Plants of the World Online managed by Kew England, eFlora of India and Flowers of India, which are the largest plant-related websites. This will help the global network of botanists for species comparison and validation. First ever list of all the NTFPs of the area, Behali Reserve Forest, also including its neighboring regions throughout the whole belt from uh, Udalguri district to Lakhimpur district of Assam, Dhemaji district of Assam. This will help the following research to stretch on validation of new nutraceuticals and phytochemicals. Number 4 would be prioritizing the most potential NTFPs. This would help the government to shape future policies in order for an effective forest management through community involvement and upliftment. 3 new taxa for science, 2 new state records, and 2 rediscoveries of the century. This enriches the floral wealth of Assam and emphasizes the rich wealth of these forests. Then working out the forest community structure and NTFP distribution, providing an idea on NTFP distribution and characterizing the present structure of semi-evergreen forest, which was not done before. 7, creation of a web database for the NTFPs, Ethnobotany of Northeast India. This is a site that has been created where anyone can procure details using the local names. So first, photographs of several rare flowers. This will aid in clearing the confusion around this species. Training the local youths and forest department for conducting more rigorous studies on different other aspects of biodiversity documentation and monitoring. Identifying the food plants for several threatened species for studying their long-term survival, and the research articles published in the study are acting as data for urging the government to upgrade the reserve forest in a protected area. So these are some references which have been used in the presentation. First and foremost, I would like to extend my sincere and deepest gratitude to my supervisor, Professor Sumpam Tanjang, for his unparalleled support, constructive criticism, and valuable advice throughout all parts of life. Similar thankfulness is also extended to Dr. A.P. Das. Secondly, to the ethnic collaborators for providing me the data and information for carrying out the work smoothly. I'm also thankful to Professor R.K. Singh, Dr. Huitak, Dr. Victor Ayam Singh, Dr. Oidai Nimaso, Dr. Tenya Rina, Dr. Hekam Evelyn, and Dr. Tonglong Wangpan for his constant motivation and help in need. Mr. Pariksit Kafle, Mr. Rupam Bhujel for their help, Mr. Momang Taram, then my lab mates and seniors for their help in finalizing the work, and to my family and friends for their extensive support throughout my career and their profound belief in my abilities. Lastly, I am thankful to the whole working staff of Department of Botany, Rajiv Gandhi University, and my seniors in the department for providing me a motivating environment to conduct my research in this esteemed institution. So these are some photographs of me while walking. Then, thank you.